Hello, everyone. How are you? I wanted to welcome you to another Flower Power Live. As you may know, if you saw my show last week, that I am traveling on the West Coast right now, and I'm currently in Southern California. Now, this time of traveling around has really broadened my view of what it means to bring plant allies into your life to help you with your healing and just your general health. And so I wanted to share some of these thoughts with you today. My name is Allison from the Well Cultivated Life. And so thank you so much for joining me here. I'm not going to have any actual plants to show you today because, like I said, I'm on the road, but I wanted to talk about proximity to plants and how important that is. Now, some of the research that I've done in recent years and that I plan to write a book about someday is about how being with and caring for plants in a garden, especially a school garden setting, can have such a major transformational effects on these troubled or at-risk youth. Just being in the garden, in the calm of growing plants, and especially caring and nurturing plants can make a huge difference in the success of kids that are struggling in school for a variety of different reasons. Now, I'm not going to get into that too much today, but I did want to just kind of talk about how important it is just to be around plants. So last week I was in Portland, Oregon, and I saw so many wonderful plants thriving that would have a tough time, in colder areas, colder winters like where I live in New Hampshire, such as rosemary, which grows into this amazing, ginormous shrub. It's just never ceases to blow me away. And of course, I always have to harvest them to take home because my family all have rosemary plants. And so I'm very grateful for that. But this milder climate and combined with plenty of water, it really allows a greater variety of all different kinds of plants to survive. And of course, there's many non-native ornamentals that have been incorporated into the landscape in Portland. So the whole diversity of the gardens is much, much greater out there just because of the different climate. And this experience gives you this just a completely different sort of visual and textural kind of experience just to even walk around and look at the different plants there. And one of the things that I really love about Portland is that in the city blocks, you are allowed to use this parking strip for planting if you want to. And so this is about a 3-foot wide section between the curb and the sidewalk. And there I saw so many creative gardens planted in this area, from just a few vegetables to a full-blown rose garden, and even a raised beds that people had built and into this space and were growing a lot of their own food, which was really cool. But one of the things I loved seeing also was an area where the parking strip grass had all completely died, and it was just completely filled with this giant swath of narrow-leaf plantain, which is a type of plant that's usually thought of as a complete and total weed. But little beknownst to probably most of you, narrow-leaf plantain is what they use to harvest psyllium seed, or Metamucil is like the common name, which is like a fiber-based laxative. The leaves also can be used, of course, like the broadleaf plantain to make a salve and so on. But I just thought, look at this supposed ugly, weedy area, and it's actually growing filled with medicinal plants. Very cool. But of course, thinking about harvesting from a parking strip makes me need to remind you to make sure where you're harvesting from is clean, because Portland is a dog-friendly city. The likelihood of a pooch taking a pee on your parking strip is pretty high. So maybe that's why these people put in these raised beds, like to protect themselves from dogs. But the point is that people and plants are growing where space is available. And so you don't have to create a huge garden or have a giant half-acre plot or be a farmer in order to have a relationship with plants. Now, I also took a trip up to Mount Hood, which is one of the big peaks in the Cascade Range that runs from British Columbia down to the very northern part of California. And as I was hiking along the tree line, it was about 6,000 feet. It was so beautiful. And some of the wildflowers were still in bloom from, it's usually at peak more like July, but some of the wildflowers were still in bloom. And what I noticed was that here were some varieties of the same plants that I grow in my own garden, growing here with a little bit different version up here at 6,000 feet in the wildflower meadows. And so there was yarrow and some rose hips that I saw and a few other things. Lupins, of course, are a big one up there. But now I'm in Southern California, and here there are huge aloe vera plants growing out in the landscaping, giant eucalyptus trees, which is really commonly used for as a not a flower essence, as a essential oil, very important for your respiratory health. And those are just growing out along the road because down here it's dry and very mild and warm all year round. So there's also this really cool sort of rain garden right outside my window here at the hotel. And in it, I noticed there's a huge tall plant, probably some relative in the parsley family. It's like a fennel or a dill or something. I couldn't get close enough to really see what it is. But, you know, wherever you go, there are plants, either beautiful plants or medicinal plants growing all around that you can take advantage of. So now, a lot of time in the show, what I wanted to say is that I'll talk about the medicinal and traditional use of plants and should I make a tincture or is this best as a tea and so on. But what I'm realizing is that you can reap health benefits from plants just by being around them, just by paying attention to them. So Portland is the city of roses. That's its nickname. And it has so many beautiful roses that people grow in their garden. They have a giant rose garden up in one area of the city. And I felt so healed just by enjoying seeing these roses. So as I would walk through the city, I would stop and smell the blossoms, and the variety of colors was just absolutely gorgeous. And so I'm getting aromatherapy and I'm getting the visual beauty, which is so important for humans, and just benefiting from just being around these rose bushes without actually having to take a tincture or use a product. So there are plants all around us, and we can tap into their healing potential just through these very simple acts. Now, recently I've been thinking, how lucky are we, right? How lucky are us plant people here? I recently was in this meditation group, and the woman's going through the meditation. She said, now, if you want, you can call in your animal guides. And I was just absolutely indignant that she did not say, call in your plant guides, right? I know, I'm a crazy plant lady. But it really made me think about how many more choices do we have as plant people than, because animal guides are more limited, and we have plants all around us ready to work with us. So, for example, humans are attracted to flowers. And when we create a flower essence, the practitioner always asks for permission from the plant to make the essence, just to help make the medicine a little bit more potent. But again, you don't have to create something in a bottle to reap the healing benefits of plants. It can be as simple as just spending time in nature, or picking a bouquet of wildflowers, or even just growing some plants in the pots on your deck. So this week, or since I wasn't going to do a specific plant, I decided I would pick a card. I love doing a card every week from this deck right here called the Wisdom for Healing cards by Carolyn Miss. And it's got all these beautiful drawings on them. And the cards are set up kind of like a daily, you can draw one card a day and just have sort of a message of the day and a suggestion for wellness, basically. So what it is I drew a card, and this card is called Spend the Day with God. On the back of the card, it says, this is a day for you to spend with God, a day of prayer, a day of silence. Imagine that your entire world is a sacred chapel. Every inch of your life is filled with grace and the presence of the divine. Your goal is to visualize yourself in the company of heaven every minute of the day. Got this beautiful kind of like block drawing on it. Now, those who know me or who have followed me for a while know that I'm not a particularly religious person. And so, that's not really the purpose of this show, but I do have a very strong spiritual connections, obviously, to the plant world. And so if you're like me and the words God and heaven and prayer don't really resonate with you, I thought that I would rewrite this in a more nature-centered way. So here's what I came up with. Spend the day in nature. Sit in silence and notice the simple things around you. Be in awe of the amazing ways in which the ecosystem takes care of itself with the help of the sun's energy. Appreciate the smallest bug and busy pollinator. Allow yourself to enjoy the calmness of the plants who are firmly rooted in the soil, trusting that where they are is where they should be. Mother Earth is bountiful and provides. So that's my nature-based version of the card. And the insight for plant allies are all around us. They're everywhere. So you can feel better just by being with and thanking the plants around you. Just tell a pansy that you appreciate its beautiful bloom. Thank a weed for holding the soil in place with its roots while you were deciding what to plant there next, right? So you never know how you might benefit from creating these little moments of connection with plant allies that are everywhere. And that's my message for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that if you're not following me on Instagram, feel free to follow. My handle is Cultivate My Life, and I hope to see you there. Until next week, I will be back in New Hampshire next week, and I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.